Hi everyone, thanks for joining me yet again at Orange County National, and today we're going to take another look at early extension. I'm going to put a focus on the rib cage. For a number of players that I've helped recently with this, we found this cue to be quite helpful. There's a couple of things in particular to focus on with the rib cage to help you if you have that early extension pattern in your movement, in your swing. So from down the line, looking at early extension, we would typically see this kind of stand-up pattern with the body, and the club and the hands getting quite out in front or too close to the ball line, and it's just hard to deliver the club from there. You typically have to compensate somewhere from halfway down into the ball to do so. So it's hard to be consistent from there. Okay, so just putting a focus on the rib cage. When you get into that pattern there, the rib cage itself often gets, I can't think of a time otherwise, gets into extension itself. So this would be the rib cage being in an extended position, as opposed to this would be in a flex position. So we're seeing more flexion in the spine there, and this is what we're going to work towards. This is point number one. Instead of in transition and getting into the rib cage itself getting into extension, let's keep it in more flexion. So you're going to feel a little bit shorter here through the front rather than so much length here in the rib cage. So in transition, we're going to flex allow the spine to be more flexed and allow that rib cage to be more flexed there as well. Point number two, just having that awareness of where the rib cage itself is a little bit crude putting it this way, but where it's pointed, where the sternum is pointing. So if I go to the top and I go into that extended position, that early extension position from in that phase in the transition, you can see that my sternum is pointed kind of high and in front of where the ball line would be. So let's just say it's high and forward. That's that move there once again. And if I then do the opposite, where I'm going to flex the spine, the opposite would be sternum being, instead of high and forward, we're going to have it pointed down and behind the ball. So they're the two areas to focus on. We're going to allow the spine to be more flexed in that transition phase there, and we're going to keep the sternum down and behind rather than extended and that sternum pointing pretty high in that position and forward. Okay, so they're the two cues. And as far as training them, I typically I like to have a stick down for working on a pattern like this, just because the awareness of where the hands are in space, a stick can be quite helpful. So what we're going to do is we're going to move up to the top of backswing. We're going to allow the spine to flex, and we're going to allow the rib cage to stay down and point back until we get to about here in the downswing, where the lead arm is just getting lower than parallel. And then from there, that's where we're going to move through. So for lots of people, it's going to really feel like that club is in a very different position in relation to the ball. So then it's going to be a case of training how to move into the ball from that new spot. It's going to be feel quite different to begin with. So here we can rehearse it down this way, flexion, keeping the rib cage down, and then we can work through some shots from there to help train it at a nice low speed and just up that pace of practice, up that speed as you get more comfortable with where that club's coming from now. So a couple of pointers there. Hope you find them helpful. If anyone does have their game hindered by the extension and you get to try these feels, love to hear how you get on.